Okay, hello and welcome everybody to the podcast. We're going to talk about Hellfest, the 2018 horror movie. The synopsis from Rotten Tomatoes is: a masked serial killer turns a horror-themed amusement park into his own personal playground, terrorizing a group of friends while the rest of the patrons believe that it is all part of the show. College student Natalie is visiting her childhood best friend Brooke and her roommate Taylor. If it was any other time of the year, these three and their boyfriends might be heading to a concert or a bar. But it is Halloween, which means that, like everyone else, they will be bound to Hellfest. They will be bound for Hellfest, not to Hellfest. A sprawling labyrinth of rides, games, and mazes that travels the country and happens to be in town. All right, this is rated R. Came out in late September 2018, and has a 42% tomato meter. So anyway,
earned all of it.
And earned all of it. So,
I do think it's really interesting. We should introduce.
Yeah, I'm just gonna introduce. I'm James. We have
Dan.
Tom.
All right.
SpongeBob.
Yeah, Tom, who voiced SpongeBob for years. So anyway, yeah, let's just go around and get our initial thoughts on this.
Sure.
So, whoever wants to go.
It was poopy.
All right.
I think it's really interesting that a lot of times you see a big difference in the audience score and the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. This is the audience score here in the
Oh,
critics.
that's what that is?
Yep.
Thanks.
Usually you see a bigger gap, but it's 42 for the critics and 41 for the fans, so it's really funny that, or fans, if you want to call them that.
The viewers,
Yeah.
the captive audience that bought tickets to this.
But you know what? We'll save that for, I'll just give my quick thoughts. I thought really entertaining. It is what you put on the background of a party. You literally don't need to hear any of the dialogue because none of it matters. And in fact, you don't want to hear the dialogue, and you shouldn't. That's my thing.
All right, Dan, what about you?
I largely agree with everything he just said, which is going to make for perhaps a bit of a boring input from my end. But yeah, I think I just think that there was just little effort put into any of the dialogue, and any of the.
Hey, I wrote it.
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any debate about, in horror movies you don't exactly go for character development, but this movie sorely shows what happens when you just don't do it at all, and don't develop any type of attempt to make the dialogue even interesting or anything past oh my god, look, he's back. Oh no, don't worry about that. It's not real. Yeah. You know, that pretty much sums up every single time they see this guy until the very end.
Yep.
And yeah, that's another reason you don't need to actually hear the dialogue at all. You could just put it on, and so people can just ooh and ah when they see someone get stabbed, and then go back to drinking rum.
In fact, that's basically how, full disclosure, how we kind of watched it. We were paying attention. We were listening with audio, but we watched it. We put it on when we were all kind of hanging out around Halloween. But yeah, I agree with what everybody said so far. You know, I did enjoy the movie. I would say, I kind of want to hear what you guys thought was the scariest part of the movie, because truthfully, it wasn't that scary. You know, there were some suspenseful moments and stuff, but not too many jump scares. I don't think. Maybe a few.
No,
but
which
actually, I
actually like that.
I respect. Yeah. But I think the scariest part of the movie was when towards the beginning, when you basically see the serial killer kill somebody, and everybody thinks it's an act, and that was
that actually
kind of terrifying. You know, however, if I was the person being killed, I would have been like, "This is not an act. You know, this guy's actually going to kill me." Then, she didn't say that. She just
she was dead.
To give some context.
Well, before she died.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
To give some context too, they're in the middle of, I guess, a fun house, or not so fun house. I'll see myself out. So they're in the middle of this funhouse maze thing, and the serial killer, who already picked out his target, essentially, chases this girl back into the funhouse, and they run right into this other group, where the girl and her two friends, the protagonist and her two friends, are going through this funhouse, and they see this girl stumble running away from somebody, this masked killer, who basically apprehends the target in front of them, and then two of the girls of the protagonist's friends, I don't even know the name of the girl, I think it was...
I was gonna say...
yeah.
I think as an experiment, can you name a single name of any of the characters in this movie?
And the thing was, again, the names were just...
no.
The names are just... I'm pretty sure the protagonist might have been Natalie.
Yes.
I think that was it.
According to Rotten Tomatoes,
you are correct. Yes, I'm correct, yeah. But I couldn't tell you the names of the other two, and and differentiate them? No, definitely not. So yeah, and then he just kind of takes, I think it's like a box cutter blade or something like that, and he two of them leave, and the protagonist is still there watching the serial killer while this girl is screaming, saying "Help me, help me!" Essentially. The serial killer just stabs her in the stomach. I mean, this really isn't a spoiler. It's about 20 minutes in, so we're not spoiling anything.
I think we're gonna spoil the movie.
We'll probably
Nobody cares.
spoil it.
Yeah,
Nobody
you shouldn't see this.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So that was, I think I agree. It was scary because that, I think, was the first time we see that nobody tells the difference between what's going on. I think that's probably what you're getting at, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and I think like that was the strength of the movie, if you could find one.
Yeah, it was like a really interesting way.
It was an interesting concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I just saw on Rotten Tomatoes, or maybe it was IMDb, like it shares some similarities with a movie that came out in '81 called Goof House. Hang on.
Oh boy. This was certainly a goof house.
Wah wah.
Yeah.
Trivia.
Sad trumpet.
Yeah, The Funhouse, actually. The plot of this film is very similar to that of The Funhouse, 1981. Both films have similar taglines. Hellfest is fun getting in, hell getting out. The Funhouse is pay to get in, pray to get out.
I like that.
I think
That's
there's
not
some
bad.
yeah.
It's almost as if these guys watched this other movie and said, "Hey, you want to make a few $1 million?
Hey, it's almost like we listen to other podcasts and we're like, hey, we could do that.
We could do that." Yeah. No. I just thought that it was. That was probably the strength of the movie. That right there was like the concept. And now we kind of know that maybe the concept was just taken from something else.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So-
Yeah, the one area I was gonna be like, this is interesting.
Yeah, it might have been just appropriated from something else. So, but yeah, just maybe I don't watch enough horror movies. Maybe that's it. So I'm not used to the predictable character lines and setting stuff up just to get you to just jump a little bit. But I do think like just laziness on part of the dialogue. Nobody in their mid-20s just high-fives each other randomly. Like all those characters do. Like, I'm sorry. Like they talk like they just did it overkill. It felt like a bunch of guys in their late 40s thinking about, hey, this is how 20-years talk.
I mean, that's
right?
probably what. Yeah, the writers were probably in their 50s and they were like, I love children. Not like that. High five.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just don't watch this with any type of expectation about fantastic acting. And I think if you can go numb to that, then you might be entertained a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I couldn't remember single actors, like characters.
That's the scariest part.
Well, you said what was what did you think was the scariest part? I would say that, but the one other scene that I can think of was and it's more of just like you feel it is the needle to the eye.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what? I want to give the movie a little bit of credit. It wasn't that was my fantasy player that dropped that. Full disclosure, we're watching Tank Bowl 3, the Jets and the Dolphins play in the background.
Yeah.
Alright, so what I actually admired was a decision, spoiler, to kill off the nice, goofy, awkward kid.
Okay.
That's kind of interesting. I do watch a lot of horror movies, and typically, maybe not as much anymore because they're trying to like change conventions of the genre, but typically it's either the virgin or the nice guy, the nice dude whose name none of us could remember this.
I think he was Gavin.
He was Gavin.
Gavin.
Yeah,
Oh well, that's we only remember.
I thought for the entire
reason.
movie, I thought Gavin was the other guy.
Which of the other guys? There's three
point, yeah, the other white guy, because then the other guy was not white.
Hispanic, yeah.
Yep.
And so yeah, I thought I had their names mixed up for the entire movie, and then at the end I finally realized that I was wrong. So
Oh wait.
I'm pretty sure one of the guys' name was Asher.
Oh
yeah.
And it just sounds like, again, like we're just trying to, I don't know, like you watched something in 2003 and you were like, hey, I think that this must still be cool, right? Like,
yeah.
Let's have them high five.
Yeah, like a character in Degrassi or something. Like something like
that. But anyway,
that.
wait, so you were saying you liked how they killed off Gavin?
Yeah,
the nice
actually,
guy
I gotta give them credit for that because unless this 1980 movie did the same thing and they just copied it, which is possible apparently.
We should watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, at some point we should. We shouldn't watch this movie again though.
No.
I just think typically you don't see that type of character die, because usually that's the protagonist type character.
I was about to say.
So
yeah.
I'll give them that.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. That's cool. His dialogue was the worst ever.
Yep.
His specifically was the worst of the movie, and there was, I mean, like, it was a smorgasbord of bad dialogue across the whole movie, and he had the worst of it because we didn't know how the girl was interested in him. Natalie, she was like, "Oh no, you're funny," and he's like, "Well, like, pee pee poo poo, funny stuff," but like it wasn't at all.
And then all of a sudden, there's this furious makeout scene too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with pretty much little.
Yeah, we
build
built
up.
this up.
Yeah.
Also, they constantly, maybe people do this. I don't know. Not our crowd, but like they throughout the movie they have like their friends are like constantly gesturing towards them, and they're like, "You two should get together."
Yeah.
And they're like,
And just for the record
whatever.
here, for the listeners, Tom did just dry hump the air a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's more effort than anybody put into this movie.
Prove it.
Exactly. Prove what?
Prove that he drafted up the.
You're my witness, so that's my
shit.
proof.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Did you guys have like I know there's not a lot of positives to take from it, but what did you guys? Did you guys have a thing where you're like, "Oh, that's kind of cool"?
I actually have a really big negative. I'm gonna go the other direction. So I'm just gonna
surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I'm gonna spoil the ending of the movie. You know,
Go right ahead.
just because the very end, right, where the whole movie, you have no idea what the serial killer looks like. He puts on a mask at the beginning, and you never see his face. So at the end of the movie, he gets away, and he puts his mask into like this locked closet with a bunch of other masks. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and it seems
like a trinket.
Yeah, exactly. Like it. So I think the idea was that he does this every year, and he takes a mask from Hellfest because he dresses up like that and kills people and whatever, and like has his, it's like his trophy closet. And then he goes upstairs. You still don't see his face. It's just the camera's behind him. He goes upstairs to like a little girl sleeping on the couch, and then she wakes up and she goes, "Daddy," you know.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they were trying to go for like a really creepy, like, you know, ending where it's like, "Oh, this guy was just a regular family guy," you know,
okay,
like
yeah.
or like something that was trying to stick with you, like anybody could be a serial killer, you know, like even a family man and stuff like that. And it just totally fell flat. I was just like, this guy, the serial killer was, in my opinion, Michael Myers-esque.
Yeah,
like he was
sure.
able to just like be in
He
every
got
place
stabbed
at
in
once.
the stomach, and he
Get
just
stabbed in
got
the
up.
stomach and then just got up. Right, exactly, you know. And so I was
But
just
this
like,
guy's just a human. He doesn't have the excuse. Michael Myers is like supernatural.
exactly. And so that's why I was just, that's why I kind of fell flat. I was like, I lost interest in the serial killer's character. I was like, oh, he's just some type of weird Michael Myers thing. Like he's probably not supernatural, or they weren't trying to make that insinuation. But yeah. So I stopped caring. You know, I was like,
that should be the tagline for the movie on the poster. High five.
Yeah,
I stopped caring. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, the ending, I think, was. I mean, I guess you couldn't necessarily predict that it was going to be just some normal dude.
Oh
but
yeah,
like,
no.
But like, I do think
just
that
didn't care.
in the last few seconds when he pulled up to his house, you were kind of just like, I feel like you knew instantaneously, like, oh, they're gonna
he was
pull.
driving a minivan. I actually, I just realized that.
We were like,
you were just like, oh,
murderer drives a Toyota.
Toyota. Fucking no,
like,
not. It was like a Honda Odyssey.
It just feels like once he pulled up to the house, you're just like, oh, we're going with this ending now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're there wasn't. They blew
true.
their own story a little bit, even a minute before it ended. Like they were just like, we're like, oh, so he is gonna just be this regular dude. Like they never show his face, but you assume he's a regular guy.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think that we were a little bit disadvantaged by is that only because we were outside watching this movie, the humming that he does at the end to his daughter, he does that, and I can only tell because the subtitles said he was humming.
Yeah.
He does that while he's looking for people to kill. So like,
All right.
that's kind of an interesting tie-in.
I actually didn't realize that.
I thought that meant that he would kill his daughter too, but clearly he didn't.
Did we know that was his daughter at the very beginning of the movie?
No, I don't
beginning
think
of
so.
We didn't see her.
We didn't see anything.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Full disclosure, I was watching The Islanders for the first 5 minutes of the movie. But I have seen the beginning of the movie before, so...
Guys, the cat's out of the bag. This is the same Tom from Belmont Bunch.
Oh, no.
I know.
Ruh-roh.
We've got him on the podcast.
Hey, if you're one of my 21 subscribers on that channel, credit to you for slogging through this.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that's all I got, other than the fact that he got away just without a hitch. Like, I think multiple people saw him stab 2 people in the middle of the park and then couldn't provide any type of description. Like, he just walked out of there.
Yep.
Like, I felt like that was, like, probably not realistic. Like, wouldn't...
Well, I guess the park was Everyone was gone from the park at this point.
No, but it wasn't when they were in the funhouse at the end. It was before that when they killed the other friend that did nothing the whole movie, and then
The guy or the girl?
I mean, they all do
Well, both of them.
the white dude, both white dudes that
Gavin?
they killed.
Yeah.
No,
No.
Gavin died well before
the
that.
two jocks.
The two friends,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
He
Okay.
killed one of the jocks, and then he kills the other one in the middle of the park when they're outside.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
stomach. There's like 20
Yeah,
people
at that
around.
point I was like, all right, we're just doing this out in the
We're
open
just doing
now.
this out, exactly. I'm like, okay, 20 people around out in the open. Don't you think that people would be able to be like, that's him?
Yeah.
Well,
And
he
I don't
is
know.
wearing the same clothes
Right.
as that whole part of the park. You could say the shoes. They make a big point of showing
the
because
shoes.
at one point the cops tackle that one dude and he's wearing like red.
That was
like,
clever.
PF flags.
I will
that
admit,
is-
they did
is
that
true.
well.
Yeah.
I will give them credit.
So
for that.
yeah, in the movie the cops find someone that's not him because he's wearing the same mask and clothes, but also they did show other people that appeared to be wearing the same stuff that were kind of in on it with him, so they never explain what's going on with that, unless that was just part of
do
the
you mean
ride.
in
I
the-
think
yeah,
that
I
was
think that
all
was part of the ride.
Part of the
yeah.
ride?
That's where he
Okay.
got the costume.
Okay, that must.
I thought actually when you saw that, because you saw a bunch of people all wearing the same mask in that one scene, I thought
Murder.
the whole time it was actually a bunch of it was like a team of serial killers. I thought that's what they were going
Yeah.
for. So that would have been actually really interesting and scary, but they decided not to do that because that would
They
have been
decided
interesting and
not to
scary.
go with the interesting option.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
they-
but the other interesting
That's a
thing
theme of this movie.
I think it was you, Dan.
Remember,
that
no
mentioned
effort.
It. Yeah. That would have been too much effort.
High
Yeah.
five.
They would have had to hire more people.
Sorry, James. What were you saying?
So yeah, you actually mentioned it. I think when we were watching it, that at the point when he stabs the two friends, it was like the boyfriend and girlfriend. The girl with the purple hair,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
her boyfriend, or no, and
Not her boyfriend, but like
one of the boyfriends,
one of the
whatever.
jocks.
Yeah, the last guy that was alive. He stabs those two, and then everybody realizes like, oh shit, that wasn't fake, and like everybody starts running around and stuff. And you mentioned it, Dan, that it probably would have been scary if people still thought that was fake.
Exactly.
And like maybe they would have been beating a dead
Exactly.
horse at that point. It's like, okay, is this really?
because we've done it like 2 or 3 times.
They
But that's
did
also
that-
the
yeah.
only interesting thing about this movie.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like,
The
they
only
could've-
interesting concept.
If they really stuck with it, I think it would have made it definitely scarier. Because then maybe then as they were going through the final funhouse, because they're also, that was the dumbest thing in the movie. They're like, we need to find a way out of here. That looks like the
That
way
looks
out,
like the way
and
out.
it literally says "Welcome to Hell," and it's like the last freaking horror.
Couldn't
house.
just run into the forest.
And
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you because I think the reason why it's scary is because there would just be a mass indifference.
Yes, exactly.
And like the indifference is
That was the other
Hey.
subtitle for this movie.
massive,
Hellfest, massive
mass
difference.
indifference. Yeah, it would be indifference, right? Because the thing that made that first scene really scary, at least in my opinion, was because she just kind of watches it with dead eyes, like
Yes.
she's not intimidated at all,
Yep.
and then keeps walking out, even though someone is actually being killed. And with this, they could have made it way more scary if at that point nobody reacted.
Or if people like cheered, like yeah,
Exactly, yeah,
Hellfest,
exactly.
that would've
Nobody,
freaked me out.
nobody reacted
Yeah.
when he kills them out in the open. Nobody reacts in a way that's like alarmed, and
Yeah.
that would have been that. I think would be one way to just turn the whole movie around and say like, okay, the ending was actually interesting because you do have this continued like nobody's on their side. Like
Yeah.
once that happened and the whole park was scattering,
Yeah.
it kind of took a lot of the suspense away.
Yes,
Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
it just eliminated it, and you were just like, all right, so now the cat's just out of the bag, like
Yeah.
cover's blown.
Because at that point
Like-
it just turns into a cliche,
Yes.
like
People running
we're
away.
hiding
Yes.
and the guy's slowly coming for us, and you know he's gonna give you one more scare by finding you, and you get in the
But
fight
remember,
with the protagonist.
this would take effort, so
Yeah,
we didn't
yes.
do that, and that's.
I will
what
admit
you
though,
get.
the set and everything did look pretty good.
No, the set looked
It's
alright,
not like
yeah.
it looked like a cheaply made movie. It was just
Yeah.
the acting and directing was.
It was just
great.
like everything else.
yeah, it was like and it was cool. Like it was a cool visually. I liked it, but I'll give
Yeah.
it that.
Yeah.
And
Should we do
any-
an obligatory rating?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say like if we want to end it because we're coming up on 20 minutes here, so if we kind of give our final thoughts and a rating, sure. Let's try this rating scheme. All right, Tom, why don't you go first?
Wait, what's the rating?
No.
scale?
Tom goes first.
Okay.
So am I setting the precedent? Yes.
All right.
All right. No, I think we should each have a different rating.
Yes,
system
that's exactly what I
just
wanted
to
to
make
do.
it obnoxious.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go with out of 1,000.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give it a 287 out of 1,000.
287. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting because you know what I would rate it. I would rate
Well,
it.
should I give my little?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
summary?
yeah. Go.
Sorry.
No, yeah, of
forgot.
course. Sorry.
I'm gonna give it 287 out of 1,000. It was literally just put it in the background of a party when everybody's drinking and only pay attention during the murder scenes. And then that's it. That's all that matters.
All right, cool. I would actually give it a 2.87 out of 10, which is really weird. That's like, so, but yeah, I agree. It is a good background movie. I feel like, you're hanging out at a Halloween party, whatever. But like, I think that I wish they just they made it a little bit more, they could have made it a little bit more creepy.
Should have put it in space. Space Hellfest. The Reckoning.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wish they played out on some of the more like interesting, scary things. But I do give it credit for no jump scares, not too many jump scares. But yeah, background party. I agree with Tom.
Guys, I don't know. I think I got to give this 287,000 out of a million. And my reasoning is very simple. No effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you put no effort into your rating.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? That's fair. You give back what you got.
That's not a bad idea for the podcast. Is like we put the same amount of effort in the podcast as we think the movie. So it's like if we were doing like the Joker, right? Obviously, a lot of effort was put into that.
Yes.
And we've been talking and
the Star Wars movies. I mean, they put effort in, even if you're not.
Man, we should have subverted people's expectations for the first.
Can't
podcast.
say the same for the Jets, but yeah.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. If you guys have any ideas, send it to us.
Until next time.